I'm Dave. This is the Cyderbaby show, and today I have Ollie Brown of Ollie Brown and the Dead Collective. Hello, sir.
All right, Dave, how you doing, mate?
I'm not so bad. You're looking well. You're looking relaxed.
I feel relaxed. I feel well.
You have a second EP release this year.
Yes, yeah.
What's going on? I mean, like we've discussed in run up to this interview, Prologue and Prelude. You're getting me tongue tied and twisted. I've got notes here at the side. I've got to keep looking. Right, Prologue is coming out when?
Coming out the 12th of May.
Right. Okay. Tell me about thinking behind this. So you released Prelude, what, a couple of months ago. So
Yes.
what's the thinking? I mean, two EPs in short time.
Yeah, I mean, really, the first intention when we were looking at the whole thing is we've had an album ready. We had this whole collection together as one cohesive, solid piece of music. And I
Right.
think we originally looked at launching it as a full album, but I think because we're a new band, we're still developing things. I think it was at a point where it just felt too early because once you put an album out, you kind of the album's almost dead in the water,
Mm.
in like several months' time because you need to create the next one and get tours for the next album. And I think for us, we were like, well, let's just take our time with this release, spread it out. So we separate the tracks into kind of each sections of what we think kind of fit well together to kind of really give, I guess, synergy between each sets of three, but really to give us a lot of things to roll out throughout the year as we're kind of developing ourselves, finding our feet a little bit more as well, but
Mm.
also because we're still in the process of writing. So while this album's finished, I think some of the later songs that came in had a lot more prominence. So like songs like Haunted from Prelude, the first EP,
Yeah.
was a later track, and it really kind of set up the landscape of the whole band where we actually went back on past songs and re-recorded parts, revised some kind of arrangements to really kind of match along that line. And I think we've learned a lot I think I gained a lot of confidence from Haunted about what we want to really kind of hone in on a lot more with. And I think that's really why it's separated as well. So we can just take our time with the releases, have something to kind of roll out throughout the year as an indie band. Because there's no, to promote an album properly, the budgets are just aren't there for that right now, where we can build up something and do limited edition releases and do things that help kind of create some exclusivity for people that are supporting us early on as we kind of
Mm.
start rolling all of these things out.
Okay. Well, I do tend to agree with you because it seems now with Spotify and streaming platforms like as such, you can have an album out, but only one or two tracks will stand out, and then the rest of the album gets passed by. So I think you're doing the
Yeah.
right thing.
Thank you. I think that was also a reaction to the streaming platforms as well, because it does make music so disposable, and also just I think you're right. Like you pick a couple of tracks, and they're all really, they're all got their importance and gravitas to them that we really want to highlight. And
Mm.
with this next release of Prologue, it's not going to be on streaming platforms on the release day. It's available for physical release, so people
Okay.
can get their hands on it. And there will be a download available as well on release day. But from us, because right now with Spotify and iTunes, like there are some tracks for references from. So if someone wants to check us out, they go, "Oh, okay. Do they
Yeah.
have any more music?" We do, but excuse me. It was just not as important for us to make sure that it's available for free on Spotify when the fees aren't there, the pay isn't there, and it's the thing right now where it's more important for us to garner people to us rather than to
Mm.
getting on the playlist. And while that's definitely important, it will eventually come out on those platforms, but there's no rush. Like there's no necessity that it has to be on these platforms on the day of release for us. It's
Mm.
more important that it's physical and it comes from us to direct to the audience.
Yeah. I mean, what was I going to say? I mean, as long as you're keeping people's memory fresh with the name of the band and just fresh music every few weeks, exactly like you're doing, you're creating a buzz around yourself. And to be honest, you're actually quite different to what everybody thinks because you got a reputation of being like a more bluesy chap, but this is nothing like blues, is it? Really, this is more. Like you said, it. You seem to have pulled apart everything about rock, put it all together again, and made something quite brand new. I think, especially on
Oh,
Prologue.
thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot to hear. I think, yeah. I mean, I can't, I'm not trying to hide my blues background. Like I grew up, that's how I started playing guitar and singing. And I think
Mm.
inherently, in terms of guitar approach, there's certain isms that I relate to. But really like, I think Rave and I, when the band I was in before the Dead Collective, like I started kind of pushing to the harder rock side. And when I grew up, I was obsessed with Soundgarden and well, anything Chris Cornell touched, I was just
Yeah.
obsessed with. Stuck to like glue. It just was a huge influence on me. And I
Mm.
think music I listened to, I was always reaching for, wasn't really blues. And I think it was a scene that was welcomed with open arms. So I really kind of lost myself in it. And then but I think as I started recognizing that I wanted to write more, I think that's when there started to kind of, I don't know, be a bit of an internal battle about the scene for me, of what was right for me, because I wanted to write different music and it wouldn't fit. And then when it came to the Dead Collect, I think, well, with the previous Raven record, that sadly it's unreleased, I think I was grinding hard, writing every day, and I think I got really attached to like what the band should sound like and what,
Yeah.
how long are the songs, and I think I lost my writing way there again, where with the Dead Collective stuff, I think there's a lot going on, and I just wrote music, and I didn't really set myself any limits or boundaries of should be a short song, I need to write a fast song, or I just wrote, and I think that's why this whole thing is very connected and very personal to me, because I didn't set myself boundaries or limits. I didn't try and write a song that I think would be right for radio or thing. I just wrote music, and it resonated differently, and I started feeling like I found my own voice and my connection. I think one of the things was the connection of singing. All of a sudden, I could sing, feel what I was singing, and
Yeah.
deliver what I was trying to put out, which is weird because I've always sung, but I never really had that thing of knowing how to put out what I was trying to, what I was writing down. And it was, yeah, just a very natural thing with this band that I just feel like we're just trying to just do what we do and try and put our own kind of flavor to it to make it a bit more unique.
Yeah. Unique is certainly the right word for it. I mean, Heard It All Before was a fantastic like single from Prelude.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's Prelude, right?
Yeah.
And uh then Sinking Ship was great. But now I think on Prologue, you open with Your Love, which is quite a long track in itself, and it's completely different in itself. It's quite a dark track as well. So just tell me about the first track, Your Love.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I think when with what the great thing about the EP is, once again, it's not that thing of thinking we need to do the most exciting song first and like,
Mm,
get the high energy, introduce like, with explosive introduction. We're like, what would happen if we just started this next EP to kind of set the platform that we're not trying to, you know, do what's, the norm for us, and having something like Your Love, where it's just really quite a morose and dark introduction that gets more dissonant as the song progresses, and it helps set up what the rest of the band is about. We're pacing ourselves with
mm.
this, and we've got bigger ambitions in mind. And Your Love, it's a heavy, yeah, it is a heavy song lyrically. I think I was instead that I weirdly I was writing this at a time when I probably shouldn't have been writing it, and I think I recognized when these lyrics are kind of coming out quite naturally that I probably need to be getting away from the situation I was in.
Yeah.
And it definitely was not intentional in the slightest. I think a lot of these songs, and that's where I know that these songs are really honest, is that I just wrote and it just came out, and I was just feeling something. And usually what happens with lyrics is that I'll write like a few lines, or like I'll sing a melody, but then all of a sudden a lyric comes out within that melody. And
Mm.
then that was the first line. Your love is a noose around my neck was the first line of that whole song, that just no thought, it just happened. And then it was like, okay, there's maybe more to be mined from this. And it was really quite a quick song lyrically to write. And, it's a bit of a wake up call to my, consciousness. I'm like, there's something going on here that it isn't great. I should make a change. And, I eventually did. I recognize that. And I think these songs definitely were my own kind of, like my own therapist in a way to kind of maybe recognize some things that weren't right.
Actually, cheaper therapy than is writing music, obviously, and hopefully getting paid for it.
Yeah, at some point.
Okay. Everything You Want, quite a bit different.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it really was the baseline that kind of just was the foundation of it. Like it just had this whole thing of like, I think because a lot of what I was writing was heavy and pretty dark.
Mm,
And I think, and all the lyrical content is, and I think it needed something at that point where it was more of a passing idea, just that riff I sat with for a while, and I sent it to Wayne, the drummer for Dead Collective, and he produced this with me as well. And he was fundamental in helping kind of making me record this album. Really, I wouldn't have happened without him for sure. And it was one of those ones that he really attached to. He was like, oh, we really got to look into this, and it was really the chorus that grabbed us. And we had this whole thing about it making a lyric about social media, about awareness, and I'm really glad we didn't, because I just don't. I feel like those songs get so dated in that thing,
Mm.
like, you know, because for now iPhones are relevant, but in 10, 20 years time, you know, they won't be. And you know, you talk about swiping, social status, those things change, and I think we're just like, well, what can we do? What can we relate this to and sing this about? And you know, one of the things was, you know, my passion ship for Time to Erase was this whole thing of someone making you feel so irrelevant by the decisions that you do, the things that you do, and that was really what started the foundation of the song. Like, you know, I'm being me, but then that, you know, what you are, that person makes you feel, you know, bad about yourself for, it makes you feel worse for it. You know, the things that you think would be funny or the things that you think are great, that person makes you feel the entire opposite with the actions that you are. And that's really what that song is about. And that playing of that, not recognizing that entirely. And that's why, like, you know, on the set that towards the end of the song, you know, the pitch, the range goes up, and then there's a more kind of, there's a more, I think vocally throughout the whole song up until the last chorus, it's quite aware, but then there's
Mm.
this sadness. There's a lot more into the last vocal performance. We're trying to go for something where it's a lot more heightened and almost angry and, you know, frustrated by the whole thing. And that's really what the song is about.
Mm. I can certainly hear some Soundgarden influences in that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like they definitely are. I mean, I love them. Super Unknown is my favorite album of all time. So I think it's hard for me to not reach for those kind of places and that kind of range when I just love how what he does with his voice elevates moments.
Yeah, yeah. Father is another quite dark song, which is like the
Yeah.
third track. I Yeah, I'm now at this point starting to get a little bit worried about you, but you know. Um so
Yeah.
tell me about Father then.
I think Father was, it's funny, man. Like it came in two bits. Like originally the song was a completely different song. I'm pretty sure I might have got rid of it now actually. On Instagram I post a video like showing guitar turns and I played the riff and we are recording the song. We ended up scrapping all of that guitar line, all of the bass parts.
Okay.
Because this was one of the songs that when Haunted came out, when we finished Haunted, we went back to it because we're like, why is this song not holding up? So we completely got rid of all the lyrics, all of the melodies, and removed all the guitar lines and kind of started the song from scratch after what Haunted did for our writing. We're like, this doesn't hold up. So we ended up sitting down. It was like just 2 days just working on a guitar line that was not repeating. You know, usually, you know, riff is like 4 bars, it goes back in itself. And it just started creating this more fluid platform where the song progresses. And lyrically, it's, you know, I think I said like there's no religious connotations. I'm not religious, and it's not about a family figure looking for a family figure. It's just that like crying for someone to help you get out of a black hole, and like I'm being quite bitter about it, and just reaching to places and it not working out, and getting just more frustrated as it goes on. And that's, you know, the during the solo sections that are like, you know, why try when no one ever wants you? Why try when no one ever needs you? It's that just that
Hmm.
constant scream, and that's why, you know, at the peak of my range, right, man. That's definitely not one that I sing live because I would be shredded for a tour after that. But I think we just wanted this and having all of these voices singing it. Like I think we layered like 60 odd vocals singing that whole
Okay.
phrase. It's just that just the voices around you and the voices around kind of really destroying the self-worth. I mean, yeah, all the lyrical content is dark, and it is dark, and I definitely was, you know, I recognize that. And you know, I did, you know, get therapy and found someone, and actually my therapist also that kind of helped, said, why don't you put this into lyric? Like you've got an ability to write music, like
Hmm.
channel this into music, and which was really helpful. And yeah, Father was, you know, it is a bitter song, and at that point I definitely was in a really quite, you know, quite a bad place. Like I just moved back into, you know, moved into Wayne's spare room as he gave me a place to live for the year. And you know, at that point, that was just before COVID really kicked in, and then COVID kicked in. I'm like, right, I've got no real direction of what I'm doing with myself and what's going on.
Hmm.
And I've kind of severed so many connections and lost loads of connections. And I'm in my mate's spare room, with no real money and no income. And I'm like, this sucks. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think, and you know, actually it was through COVID, which was, I think COVID was actually the opening of the doors for me. That's when, you know, we did start the Dead Collective and when it was like, right, let's record these songs, let's put the drums down, let's get this finished. And what was originally meant to just be a blues record, we ended up scrapping all of those songs and made something new and kind of said, look, just write what's going on and sing about it. And that's really, and that's when, you know, Father was quite another song and going back to it and then writing with a bit of perspective. It's, yeah, it's lyrically, it's a pretty, a bitter vibe for sure.
Yeah. You're saying like it's bitter and dark and all that, but in yourself, talking about this music, this new area you're looking at, you look much happier and you sound much happier in yourself. You seem, you know, almost relishing playing music live. So I mean, you know, is this your happy place now?
I think so. I think I recognize, I think, yeah, I recognize my boundaries a lot more. I think I learned a lot from it, and I think it's cathartic singing it. I think at first when I was singing them for the first time round, we played a show in Newark. We did like a headline show to warm up for the thing, and I think that was really the first time really singing them again live and relating to them again. And I think I struggled then. I think it's like, you know, you're putting yourself back in the spaces, and I really want with the live shows, I don't want to separate myself from the weight of the song. Like I want to immerse myself into what they're about, because then it translates, it shows, you know, how much, you know, we put into it. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in a much healthier space with it, and I think there's more to dig in on, and more in terms of writing the next stuff. Like I'm not saying the next EP is going to be a happy EP, like, you know, I don't think that's, you know, our thing is atmosphere and sound and creating a landscape to create just energy within, you know, textures and sounds, and, you know, to really make something really kind of enthrall you in like the depth of the music. And that's going to be the vibe. Like we've got a lot to sing about and a lot to write about, and I definitely don't want the next record to be like, oh, he's figured everything out, he's happy now, it's everything's upbeat, and, you know, it's just not going to be us. But I am a lot better.
Good. As with Prelude, you've done a different version of another song. You've got Sinking Ship on this one, which appeared on Prelude, obviously, but it's a completely different version, really. And I love it.
Yeah.
And I do.
Thank you.
I really do. Same with Haunted as well. What's the reasoning behind that?
It really, like, when I had the discussion in mind, like when we started looking at the songs, like I wonder if we could do something a little bit different with the song and just kind of reimagine them. But I think because the lyrics were so intense, I think sometimes a lyric can get lost in the rock, like, you know, the big heavy riffs and the big soundscapes. Like, well, what would happen if we just I don't want to use the word strip back, because it's not, I mean, especially the Solitude version of Sinking Ship, it's not stripped back. But I think if we isolated the focus on the vocal performance and the lyric to really highlight the weight behind them. So with the Solitude version of Haunted, Wayne suggested a person who's toured with Joe Quayle to put some strings down. So we laid down an acoustic guitar. Well, Wayne played the acoustic and I sang a vocal demo, and we sent that to Joe Quayle. And she's phenomenal. She's just stunning. And she came back with a string arrangement, and we brought her into the studio and recorded it. And we actually ended up keeping the demo vocal and guitar because there was just such a great synergy between everything. We're like, it would lose some of that authenticity that I think we had when we were trying to, because at that point when we did the acoustic and the vocal, we tried to do it as best as we could to inspire Joe to create something. And I think that's where, you know, that relation came from. And at that point, I was looking at there's a big interlude section of Haunted. I was like, I'm going to do a killer guitar solo. Just wait. And then I sat down with the guitar to record it. And what she wrote was just so beautiful. I think I only appear for like a second, really, where you hear a slide come in right at the end, but I didn't need it. And then when it came to, we knew we were going to do this again, the Solitude sessions again. And we're like, well, Joe Quayle, she does all this loop stuff with her electric cello. She creates loops and percussion and creates all these nasty landscapes. And we're like, look, last time with Haunted, we gave her a draft, said, right, do this. But this time we said, look, here's the song. How would you completely re-envision this? So Joe took the song away and created something, and she gave us like 40 different odd tracks of different string parts and everything, like all messed up cello sounds as well as beautiful parts as well. And what she put down was incredible. So we started kind of working the arrangement out, taking some bits out and developing it. And then sorry, lump in my throat there. But what she created was just stunning, and it gave us a platform to go, well, how far can we go with this song? And that's when we put, you know, drums in it, and we had Sam Wood play the guitar. So Sam Wood's playing the guitar on the whole track. Well, from a certain point anyway. And, you know, he puts the slide solo down because Sam Wood, he's a part of the band, and we obviously started the band before he was involved in it. And so I think for us, moving forward, it was anything that we're doing now in that record, we want him to feel part of the family and feel part of this thing, because he is imperative to the sound of the band.
Right.
And it was wicked watching him, and it just that song took us a lot longer than we were prepared for, because we thought it was gonna be like a day's work or something like that. But then we started kind of getting, oh, what if we do this and this, and it just grown into like 2 parts. But that last section, it just explodes into like Technicolor, and that was the thing. Like, we kept a lot of the top higher range frequencies, and we kept a lot of the width kind of contained until that last section, where it just it's like the big sigh and that big relief, and all that tension is just kind of gone.
Excellent. Are we going to hear more of this?
Absolutely. We're going to be doing it we're doing probably 4 or 5 solitude sessions with Jo Quayle, and we've got a few things in mind, and something else special in mind with her as well. So we've got the solitude session is going to be a thing that we stick with, and we always do. It's so much fun to reimagine the songs and treat them differently, but bring a different focus and a connection to them. I love it. I think we don't want to put limits on anything that we're doing right now with this band, and just keep expanding our ideas and pushing ourselves.
Okay. We touched briefly before we went on to record about touring. You've got something cooking in the pipeline, I believe.
We do, yeah. We're looking at touring from September the 16th. We're just finalizing the last dates, making sure the routing, to make sure that we're playing as many places as we can. I mean, there's always some town that we're not playing that someone will point out when we post it. It's just always the case.
I could find a village hall somewhere which you're not playing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's always the case. It's always the most disheartening thing when you post up and someone goes, "You're not playing here." We're like, "Yeah, no, we know we're playing in this area that we've listed." Like,
can
only do so much.
Yeah,
but that's what was in the pipeline for now. We got this headline tour that we're getting ready to announce, as we're just finishing finalizing it.
Brilliant. Ollie, thank you for your time. Tell me again when Prologue, I've got it right, is out and where they can get it from.
Prologue is out on May the 12th, and it's available on our website we have a limited edition vinyl, although there's 10 copies of that left now, or just under. A limited edition CD, we did 250 of them. We've got, I think, 50 of them, or just over 50 of them left, and then a standard edition CD. So we've got a few different variants. They're all going to have a digital download with them as well, but for the foreseeable, it's not going to be on streaming platforms until we decide.
Ollie, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's great talking to you, mate.